Everybody, Brock Vandenberg, fund manager for TaliMar Income Fund. Common question I get from investors, specifically trustee investors, is what experience do we have in the private lending industry? And I wanted to kind of give you a brief overview of our experience, kind of where we started, how we got to where we are today, and kind of give you an overview of what our team looks like today. So I started in the private lending industry back in 2008. I probably started a lot like many of you who invest in trust deeds, and investing my own capital into individual trust deeds. Back then, a lot of the trust deeds that I was funding, or that I would at that time, primarily were to investors who were buying bank-owned properties. Many of these investors were looking for capital for the purchase and renovation costs, and then they would quickly pay that loan off once they renovated the property and then sold the property. I did about 20 with my own capital and recognized the opportunity there was in the marketplace to capitalize on this opportunity. From there, I started to raise money from friends and family who wanted to invest alongside me with these loans, and had a lot of success really focused on that investor who was buying loans from banks, short sales, foreclosure sales, and whatnot. During that period of time, probably all the way up until about 2020, we grew our platform primarily through individual trustee offerings. By about 2020, we had grown to a point where it became really inefficient trying to match individual investors in individual loans. We were managing probably around 45 million or so. That was probably about 150 individual investors, and constantly balancing new investor capital coming in, loans that were paying off, and then again matching those loans up with each individual investor, which is why we transitioned into a mortgage fund platform. Was way more efficient for our individual investors. They could stay invested in the fund versus having to be bought and sold out of individual loans. And then there were also some considerable tax advantages of investing in the fund over individual trustees. If you've seen some of my other videos about the tax advantages, you recognize that not only do you in the fund get that 20% QBI or qualified business income tax deduction, but if you reside out of the state of California, you're not subject to California withholding taxes. So I've done some other videos. Check out my YouTube site about some of the tax advantages of investing in a fund. So late 2020, early 2021, we launched the fund, and a lot of our investors transitioned their investments from individual trustees into the fund. Within the first year, we'd raised approximately 10 million, and then that brings us to today. We've got approximately 118 million in investor capital in the fund. That's about 375 individual investors. Now, kind of how does the team look? How has it changed over the time when I first started just investing in my own loans? Number one, I have a loan origination staff, and so they're actually out there looking for lending opportunities. It's something that I had been doing in the past, but as we grew the fund and we brought in more investor capital, we needed more boots on the ground looking for more lending opportunities, and that's really paid dividends. Our loan origination team does a great job of identifying relationships with real estate investors, with brokers, and others in the industry to originate good loans. Number two, we have a full loan servicing team as well. Even though we've outsourced the actual function of servicing to a third-party team, we actually have somebody in-house that manages the correspondence with our borrowers. Once we've funded the loan through our loan closing team, they bring that loan over, and then they essentially become a master servicer of that portfolio. So if you're currently invested in multiple trustees, you're aware of the complexity, the time it takes to service a large loan portfolio. In fact, that's probably one of the number one reasons individual trustee investors decide to make that transition to investing in a fund, because it just becomes too complicated servicing a growing trustee portfolio, and then when payoffs occur, trying to identify and find a new loan to originate. Also, we have an entire loan closing team. So that includes underwriting and the physical drafting of loan documents, confirming that the closing statement is correct and whatnot. So it's someone dedicated to that role, and which allows us to streamline our loan closing process. So from when that loan is originated to when we underwrite it to when we close it is usually 5 to 10 business days. And then we have an investor relations team, so corresponding directly with our investors, making sure that the onboarding process is smooth. If there's any account updates that need to be done, that we can do that in a timely manner. And again, we outsource the physical investor relations piece of it in terms of fund administration. That includes accounting, the statements, the actual platform that you log into is done by a third-party entity. And the reason we do that is that, number one, we do not specialize in doing fund accounting. It's something that's a very specific niche specialty, and you're better off aligning yourself with an organization that specializes in doing fund administration for a mortgage fund. So that kind of brings us to where we are today. A good question is, well, Brock, I still invest in individual trust deeds. It's what I prefer. And a lot of investors do. They do prefer to invest in individual trustees. But I will say that, as the mortgage fund industry grows, especially in the private lending side, I think more of the brokers that have access to, we'll say, higher level borrowers, higher level property types, higher level types of transactions, typically will go to, or at least try to go to a mortgage fund first to get their loan funded, simply because the process is streamlined. A lot of funds like ours have a lot more capital to deploy, and so we can quickly review a loan request and get that loan request funded. And then throughout the entire process, we handhold or have that relationship with the borrower. And then when you create those relationships with brokers, they're more than likely to come back to you with their individual loan requests. So wanted to give you some insight into, number one, our growth, why we're able to accomplish the growth in terms of new loan originations, raising capital, servicing our loan portfolio. I'm going to do a couple other videos about our experience and our background to give you a little more insight into how our organization operates, and really also talk about the opportunity in the private lending industry. If you found this video informational, if you found it interesting, please give it a like. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post a lot of great content about the private lending industry. And if you ever have any questions about investing in trust deeds or mortgage funds or what have you in terms of this industry, feel free to reach out to me. I love to talk about it. So again, thanks for taking a moment to watch this video, and I look forward to hearing from you.